Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I went through a transformation to become a 1950s starlet. What do you think?
I've seen better.
It is something, is it not? And in today's video we are going to be celebrating Marilyn Monroe's 100th birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Not only is she one of my biggest inspirations, especially from the golden age of Hollywood, she was just as beautiful as she was smart. Today we are going to be celebrating her by making her into a doll.
I don't care.
Which no one's ever done before.
Lies.
If you are new here, my name is Dakota. I'm a doll designer, doll collector, and an artist.
Hi. You'll like Amy. She's an artist.
And in today's video, we are going to be making something truly special. If you like videos like these, let me know down below. Let me know how you're doing. Leave a like, share, comment, do whatever you can, my darlings. Every little bit helps, and I appreciate you all so very much. For those of you who do not know, I just came back from being sick. I was very sick. And I wasn't sure I was gonna make it, girls. But here I am again. You just can't keep me down. If you've been here for a while, hi, how are ya? Thank you for coming back. Today's video is gonna be a lot different from what I usually do. We're not gonna be dealing with a Barbie.
Scandalous.
Ignore the background. We are not going to be making a Barbie Marilyn Monroe, which is what Mattel, the company, is making this year, which we've kind of seen it and some people have mixed reviews. I personally, I'm okay with it. It's very hard to make a Marilyn Monroe doll, so I'm not surprised that they made it as a Barbie as Marilyn, especially since we know nowadays Mattel does not put that much detail work into their dolls as what they used to do whenever they actually made a real Marilyn doll. I, however, believe love is in the details, so we are going to be actually making a actual factual Marilyn Monroe doll.
You'll find that I mean business.
Really? Then why are you wearing that hat?
And today we will be using a 2001 Happy Birthday Marilyn Monroe doll from my childhood. She's really rough and she's really used, so I really don't mind making the sacrifice. We are going to be turning her into Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend Marilyn, an outfit that I've always wanted and never gotten on a Barbie doll. There already is a Barbie of this doll from 1997 in their Hollywood Legends collection, and it too is more Barbie as Marilyn than Marilyn as Marilyn, which probably makes no sense if you're not a collector.
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't think you know either.
So I'm really making my dream Marilyn Monroe doll that I've always wanted since I was a child. And I kind of let my creativity get away with me, but I can't wait for you all to see how she turns out in the end. So without further much ado, sit back and relax, and let's get started on making our Marilyn Monroe doll. And here is the Marilyn doll that I'm going to use as a base. This is the Happy Birthday Mr. President Marilyn that came out in the early 2000s. This was, in fact, my childhood doll's head. So this has been with me ever since it was new. And you can see that it was very much played with. And this is going to be like a special kind of video for me, especially to fix it thoroughly, because like, look what happened to her over the years. I put her on this body that I got off of AliExpress that I think is really nice, and I like its more human proportions, especially to go with like the more human lifelike head. And I've not always liked the way this head was painted. I love the eyes. I think the eyes are really beautiful and expressive. But the lips, there's like something a little bit off about the lips. So we'll see what we can do with this doll whenever the time comes. But she does have some stainage going on her chin and on her nose. So I'm gonna have to clean this thoroughly before we can do any work with it. I have Miss Marilyn under the heat lamp, and I put some peroxide on her face so that way we can get rid of some of that staining. I have created a pattern for the dress, and It looks really crazy, but it makes sense in my noggin, so that's really all that matters. I have the body out, and I kind of modified the neck knob a bit to be able to hold a Barbie head just a little bit better. I made the knob a little bit wider using some O-rings that I actually used to fix Miss Barbie heads. I have some very thin black satin, which I'm going to use as a lining for all of this. And I have this pink satin for the dress. Originally, I wanted a silk taffeta, but I shockingly don't have it. And I thought I did, but I don't. So this is just going to have to do for this project unless I can go back and do a better job searching in my fabric bin. But I am going to be dyeing this just a little bit darker because I want this to have like the Technicolor look, even though I feel like this right here, this color is how the actual costume looks, at least with camera lighting that is. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my pattern and see how it looks, and then I'm going to dye it. After sitting here and dyeing it over the stovetop, look how pretty it has come out now. The fabric will always be darker than how it's going to be whenever it's dry. It tends to be like a few shades lighter, but this is definitely what we're going for. And the colors I used are going to be this synthetic Rit Dye More dye, and this is called Super Pink. And then I also used a tinge of royal purple as well. So yeah, I'm super excited with how it's turning out. I'm gonna see what it looks like whenever it's dry, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so everything is laying out and it is drying. So now I have 2 of these, so yay, score. I also have like some spare fabric, like you see like these over here. Like I have big ambitions. Sometimes that means your pattern doesn't end up the way that you want it to. So this is just here to help me with alterations and all of that. But I'm pretty sure that this should be pretty good. But yeah, I'm so excited. Again, I have very big goals, very big plans, and I hope I'm able to do this Marilyn doll some justice. I can't wait for it all to completely dry so we can see the color that it is going to be. The stain treatment is done, and it took about 3 days, but you can see that there's no more staining. However, this doll, with her being so used, because this is the head of my original childhood Marilyn, her paint is chipping off, the sealant is just going away, but that's all right. I wasn't going to restore her. I was actually going to customize her, so that's fine. But you can see like where the neck rim has like gone to shit. Again, like this doll has really been through it. So this is going to be a transformation for the books. So on my table, which you could probably hear that I am still sick, you will see some materials and supplies that I've already pulled out and already done. Here's the fabric that we dyed, and I have it pinned to this black satin. And my plan is to just sew it right on top and then pull it inside out, because the black part is going to be the lining. For the gloves, I'm going to show you like my little ideas. So I made the little oven mitt, which is like a very typical and standard fashion doll like glove, other than just painting the hand and creating like a gauntlet kind of a sleeve. But I wanted to have little individual fingers. So on our model, you can see, it's over there, and the little light, see if we can shine a light on it. I have made individual fingers. It's very difficult. You have to actually just put it on the doll's hand, cut the fingers while it's there, and then sew it that way, because it's just so tiny. There's no way to do it with this delicate satin. But look at the top. The top is topping, and I added that inward lip like the original has, where that fold is. And you can see it on his costume sketch really well. There it is, all wrapped up in the back. On the inside of the bodice, I have added a wide mesh tool just to give it some structure, because I didn't want to add an interfacing because that would make it more difficult to fold. I wanted it still to be able to be folded into the direction that I wanted it to be in. And I think so far it's looking like it's supposed to. Now in the light, it looks a little bit more red than what it is. It is a very like hot pink fuchsia, which by the way, look at that Cinderella doll. I had that doll as a kid.
Squirrel!
Okay, but anywho, we've got certainly something going on here. I got some of these and I felt like these would make terrific like bracelets and gauntlets and everything. And then I also got some chain at Michael's of rhinestones that we can make into necklaces and such. I've also got these right here. We're going to use those as well. But basically, I wanted just to go ahead and get the whole costume done and then focus on the doll head after the fact, because I think that the costume is probably going to be the most wow feature of this doll. Really, my best friend in this whole project is going to be Drit's fray check, and that is going to stop the seams right here from fraying, which I have cut because I am going to be sewing them onto the fingers individually. So I want them to be saturated in this fray check. Now, this does dry clear, but it will leave a little bit of a stain, which you can kind of see like on the other side of the glove. So it's not perfect. It fits this purpose because you can see like on the model, it's really not that bad. This is probably the most tedious bit of work. So once this is done, then I can truly like relax and get started on the rest of the project.
Tomorrow.
Remember how I said that I wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way? Well, I have a dress. And the reason why I didn't record all of it is because I'm not really feeling too well. So I don't really think that my voice is that attractive at the moment to hear. But look how cute it's coming. Can you see the vision? Yeah, pay no attention to the back, but you can see the vision, right? You can see it. I know I can. I got something kind of cool off of Amazon. I got like a variety of belt buckles, and I'm gonna have to paint one pink to go around the middle because I made like a little fabric strand right here to be the belt, and I think that that's going to be really nice. So now I should go ahead and tackle this hand, and then we can work on the bow of the outfit. I did already kind of like sew it together, but I don't know if I'm going to keep this bow. I think I want to do one that has like wire in it so that it could be like crushed and smushed and make it look a little bit less polished. Because the one in the museum and in the movie, it looks like it's got like some structure to it, more so than just like two fabric satin pieces just like sewn together. Also, shout out to whoever did this before it was placed on the museum mannequin and then posting it on the internet. Like, this is incredible help, especially in this project. The dress was so very structured, even more structured than I originally thought. And it turns out the bow that I actually made will actually work for this project. It doesn't really need wire. It just looked a little bit different on Marilyn. But also, speaking of researching this gown to make this project, did you know that there's two of these gowns? And one of them is a totally different color of pink than the one in the museum that it's currently residing. The one that's on display at the museum is very much clearly the one that was used in the film, and this dress in another collection is very similar to the Gentlemen Prefer Blonde's dress, and it is constructed just like the original gown, but the details are different. But then if we also look at the original designs, there's two different designs for this gown. So it's got my big noggin thinking. The Technicolor process was a very tricky process at the time when this film was being made. And you would have your head designer, and then you would have other designers working underneath them. Each designer has a brief for any outfit that they create for a film, or at least they used to back in the studio system days, which means this lighter pink gown could have been the original gown, but it didn't really look right with the Technicolor camera. Or maybe it didn't stand out enough. Or could this be that this is a gown that was made for the premiere and not actually for the movie? Because she did actually wear a very similar gown to this at the Gentlemen Prefer Blondes premiere. All I know is that I have questions. I even was thinking, like, Madonna, is this your dress? But no, her dress is different. And I'm sure the answer is somewhere on the internet. I just haven't found it yet. It's a new day and I feel slightly better. You could probably hear my voice kind of coming back. But because of that, I think I want to get started on making her jewelry. Jewelry making can be quite a daunting task, especially for a doll in this kind of scale, 1/6 scale. So don't feel bad if you're like intimidated to start ever doing that. But I'm going to go ahead and just start finishing off what I've already started. I've already made her choker, and in the center part, there is real Swarovski crystals all around. Same with her gauntlets, real Swarovski crystals, and her earrings, which also have real Swarovski crystals in them as well. So I'm gonna start making her little charms that dangle off her necklace. This glue is mainly used for fabrics, but I don't mind using it for like these little tasks. You can't use traditional super glue whenever you are making these little jewelry pieces because it will cloud up the metal and the glass. So if you want like a really nice seamless look, you have to think of like some other ways of doing it. Now you could solder a lot of these pieces together, which is the proper way of doing so, but I don't feel like it, so I will use this glue. And this is the goal. You can't really see it, but it does kind of sparkle. I've got a few things going on in front of me. I have her belt buckle, which I've painted pink, that I'm gonna put some satin varnish on, and then we'll put it on the costume. But I'm also altering these shoes. These belong to a Hannah Montana doll, or just in regular like Playline dolls, but I know for sure this came from a Hannah Montana doll. But when you put it on her feet, it's perfect because it's like a peep show kind of a shoe. But of course, like you can't see it, and you couldn't see it in the play along dolls either. It was just there out of suggestion because those were the shoe styles of the time. But if you cut it back, it becomes very similar to the shoe that she wore in the scene, except it was just in black. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and cut around, just like I did with this one right here. I'm going to cut this using an X-Acto blade, and then I'm going to paint them black. It's kind of bittersweet doing this to a pair of childhood doll shoes, like I have to be real with you, because despite all the toys that I do have, I have very few original childhood dolls left. And that is mainly because I was so rough with them. But I remembered this pair of shoes, and they were some of my favorites, as was the Marilyn Monroe doll. Which, fun fact about this doll, we didn't really have a lot of money back in the day, and this doll was rather expensive. At the time, Walmart was selling a lot of Barbie collector dolls along with the Playline Barbie dolls. So it was very much over whenever I saw her, because despite being a child and actually never seeing any of Marilyn Monroe's movies, I was obsessed with her, and I thought she was a vintage Barbie. So rest assured, I would beg for her, and my mother would just tell me she's far too expensive just to buy. Maybe that could be my one gift for Christmas or birthday, a special occasion. I took that to heart, and when I lost one of my teeth, I stuck a note under my pillow for the tooth fairy, and I asked the tooth fairy for the Marilyn Monroe doll. That, my friends, was the most expensive little tooth the tooth fairy has ever seen. Now I feel like I can go ahead and start on Marilyn's face. And this is kind of a moment for me because, again, like I mentioned before, this is my childhood Marilyn doll head. So to say goodbye to this face is a little bit bittersweet, but as you can tell, there's so many signs of play and age that honestly, we're doing her a favor anyway. And if you think about it, I am building my very own dream Marilyn doll that I always wanted as a child. I never really thought that she looked like Marilyn that much. As I got older, I became an artist, and I realized truly how phenomenal this face sculpt is. Marilyn is a very tough character, especially to paint. You could have the best sculpt in the whole world, but if you don't do the proper application of her makeup, it really won't look that much like Marilyn. And honestly, it can be the smallest of things like lip shape or even the eye makeup. And for this project, I don't want to do hyper realistic. I want to do a doll version of Marilyn because I personally feel like hyper realistic celebrity doll heads on Barbie bodies or unshaded plastic fashion doll bodies can look a little bit uncanny. So I really wanted to revise this, make it my own, but also make it more Marilyn and also make it better. So in short, I'm gonna repaint the face.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So I think I'm actually going to leave her eyebrows, her original eyebrows, and we're going to paint over them and give them some more detail because I do like their placement and I think that they can stay. Now that we have her shoes modified and sealed and painted in black, it's time to add on the little rhinestones. And I know it's very hard to see in the film, but I studied it. She does have little rhinestones on her shoes, which is so cunty-licious, if you ask me. And it makes me go like, of course she did have diamonds on her shoes as well. Like, it just makes so much sense. And I don't know about you guys, but I am dying to go see all of her memorabilia and her costumes on display in Hollywood. And let me know if you've already gone because it looks like it's amazing. Typically, this glue is reserved for fabric, but I really like to stretch it to its limit. When you're dealing with rhinestones or any kind of crystal and or glass, you can't really use your typical standard super glue. Super glue will just make it turn foggy. And she needs to shine brighter than a diamond because you're only 100 once. This project's really fun and immersive to me because I love Golden Age Hollywood. And part of my research is just watching the movie. And I never thought I would have a job that would allow me to watch these old classic Hollywood movies, or as they used to call them back in the day, pictures. There's no business like show business. There's no business I know.
Let's go on with the
And here they are finished. And how pretty. Diamonds really are a girl's best friend. This sculpt is so good. And it's this kind of detailed sculpt that I miss coming from Mattel because they used to do some really good celebrity likeness sculpts. Some of my personal favorites still have to be the Audrey Hepburn Barbies as well as the I Love Lucy dolls. But enough about them. Let's get to talking about what I'm doing. First thing I did was spray her head down with Mr. Super Clear and gave it some time to dry. Unfortunately for me, it does seem to be that my Mr. Super Clear is getting old. It's been quite a time since I've used it. So eventually I did have to take some rubbing alcohol and wipe it away. But it was still grippy enough to where it would hold on to watercolored pencils, which is what I am using. If you're looking for more pigment where you're not going to have to paint over it, go for a higher quality brand. But if you're just mapping out the face like I am, which means you intend to paint over it, then you could really use any brand. On pale dolls such as this, I would recommend steering clear from any orangey red as it has a high chance of staining the doll's face. And she will end up with something collectors like to call Kool-Aid lips. And I've learned that lesson the hard way. Y'all better learn from my mistakes. Lord knows someone's got to. Also, let me know down below what your favorite Marilyn Monroe movie is. As a kid, mine used to be Bus Stop. I just thought she was really good in that film. But as an adult, I would say that my favorite would have to be Some Like It Hot. It's just so wild and ridiculous. It's totally up my alley. And now this doll's face is ready to paint. The paint I will be using is called acrylic paint, and it's always best to start off with very diluted strokes. On its own, without any water, it can be very thick, and one little dab of water should do the trick. So don't add a lot. We still want to have some pigment. We just don't want to see any brush strokes, which a lot of dolls in general, they are not being hand painted anymore. In the 1950s, it was such a common practice. Literally, each doll that you got would be very unique because it was all done by hand. In the late 50s, we start to see companies use stencils, which can help with a more uniform and consistent look. But even that method today is not really being utilized. Dolls today are usually made by either printing on the faces or using stamped decals, which is why a lot of today's face molds can't be as detailed as this face mold from 2001. I personally would rather have a more detailed sculpt with a face full of personality compared to a less detailed sculpt with UV printing. But as they say in the artist community, different strokes for different folks. And if you didn't like that one, check this out. You know when I said my Mr. Super Clear was going bad? You can kind of see that because the doll's face is gradually getting shinier by the minute. And eventually I did have to wipe it all off with rubbing alcohol, which means I gotta go buy more. But now you can start to see her face come together. So instead of sealing it with Mr. Super Clear, I decided to seal the paint with a sealant that is specifically made for acrylic paints. The primary sealant that I chose is going to be a satin finish. But for the irises and the lips specifically, I'm going to use a gloss. With this doll, I want her to have real lashes. The first step is to measure out the lash to its desired length. Then I'm going to drop some glue on a piece of wax paper. Then I'm going to run the lash band through the glue. And then I'm going to apply it to the doll's head. Once it's applied, it may look a little bit too long and spidery. So you can go in with some delicate motions and start to trim down the lashes. Marilyn always had a heavy outer corner, which gave her this sleepy look. I cut her some halfsies, so we put it right on top of the other strip. And now the doll reflects that with a nice sleepy look. And now it's time to do her hair. I'm first going to start off by going in sections. I'll take some perm paper and wrap it towards the ends of the hair. And with the vintage Tony hair permanent curler, I'm going to curl the hair under. When you want to give some body to your hair, you want to curl under. And the same goes with the dolls. And these curlers are perfect. Not only are they from the era, they're able to give me that perfect pin curl look. And we are going to do this to the whole head of hair. And while it's true, this is very tedious, the end results just make it all worthwhile. Maybe there's some of you watching this channel that can remember getting a Tony home permanent. Y'all should tell me how that went down below. I am rather curious. After we have them all in their proper place, it's time to boil set the hair. I'm using some very hot boiling water and I'm pouring that right over her saran hair. And I have a whole video dedicated to boil washing doll hair in case you were interested. After boil washing the hair, I'm going to pour some diluted gel over on top. And this will help it hold that beautiful curl for longer. It's 10% styling gel and 90% water. After each curl has been saturated a little, we're going to leave her to dry and then we'll brush out her hair. All right, so now it's time to put Marilyn all together. I made her a stand just wrapping some red satin around one of those older 90s like Barbie stands that is like the saddle. And the reason I did that is because you can't really put anything around her waist to hold her like that. Like those stands to me are ideal, like the ones that clasp around the waist. But this one is a saddle stand, so it goes like right at the crotch, so that way it doesn't get in the way of the dress itself. I don't really like these stands that much, but they do work in a pinch. And now I'm gonna make little strips of diamonds. Like, you know, like in the movie, how she has like the little strips of diamonds, like the men are trying to like give her, and she's like, oh, you know. I decided to make those to go along with the doll herself. So let's get started. I'm just gonna fold it in half and I'm gonna try to do a loop somewhere. And now that everything's pinned, what's the worst that could happen?
Nothing.
So even though it's a little bit ugly, which doesn't matter, we're gonna put diamonds all over it, but this is like the point of putting a little loop there. So that way she could hold it as she wants. I'm gonna use these heat transfer diamonds that I used for her choker and her gauntlets, and I'm just gonna put it on the black ribbon like so, and look at that.
I just love finding new places to wear diamonds.
So I was just inspired to do this, but of course like put diamonds on them. And I feel like that looks better than these little straps because this doll's probably going to go somewhere in my living room and I want her to really like catch the eye, and I think she really will with a bunch of diamonds and some ribbons. I don't know. Now that I have the stand all done and bejeweled out of its mind, and I have the little straps of diamonds all done, and they are front and back, which was a total bitch and a half, but we did it. I think I'm done like gluing diamonds on for quite some time. I think Marilyn looks great, but if you look at the bust area, I think I want to try to give her like more of a breast support right here because I feel like I have some room where I can do something but I feel like it needs to have a little bit more of a shelf, like the actual gown, and the only way to do that is to bulk up the area. So I'm gonna make her a cone bra like Marilyn would have had. I've made her little cones that I'm going to insert into the dress itself. So it's gonna be like, think of shoulder pads. And that is exactly what these are going to be purposed for. But how exciting. Like, this is honestly the last step to this Marilyn doll.
On this occasion of your birthday, this lovely lady, Marilyn Monroe.
Here she is. What do we think of Marilyn? And this is exactly how I want her to be posed, with the little strips of satin ribbon that look like the little diamond things that she had in the movie. Of course, now they're just like exaggerated and long, but that's okay. Her jewelry. So cute. The little gloves. I'm so glad I decided to do individual fingers on the gloves instead of just painting the hands. It was worth it, I think. It was totally worth it. But there we go. We see pantyhose and her shoes. I tried to make the shoes look like they did on the very limited photos that I had of them. And I didn't know that they were covered in little rhinestones. I thought it was just glitter, but then I had to think back and I was like, they were probably rhinestones, not glitter. Repurposing that old Barbie stand for this, especially a stand that I don't really use. I like to use the Kaiser stands, as you can see behind her, but to reuse them and to make them your own, that's kind of a genius idea. You just need some Elmer's glue, a piece of fabric, and just fold it over, and you have something that looks really luxurious, and you could put like little details and stuff all over it. But how much fun is that? And even though I was very limited on what I could do, considering this outfit does have a lot of construction detail, but it had to be so small, I think it does look really good. I think it looks really sleek and really nice. And instead of putting an inner facing in the fabric, because I knew it would give it unnecessary bulk, I decided to use a nylon tricot and a mesh netting on the inside of the lining, so that way it still had that stiffness, but it didn't have thickness. And that's what I wanted. But to go from a childhood doll that was in desperate need of restoration, and then to go into looking like this, I think I successfully gave myself that dream Marilyn Monroe doll I always wanted as a child. What do you think of our Marilyn Monroe doll? And now under my lamp she goes, in her spot for now, but I'm sure it will change because I'm always switching things up around here, but I certainly do love the fact that she's there and she's just here and is a focal point. And I mean, because really, what else could you want for your childhood doll than, just to be admired like you used to admire it as a child? Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, let me know down below. If you would like to see more like it, if you would like to see me include more segments into something like this, let me know what you would like to see down below in the comments. I plan on making more of these, not necessarily Marilyn, but maybe some other Hollywood celebrities or even Disney dolls. So give me some suggestions down below in the comments and I'll see what I can do in the next videos. Now, most of you did vote for this doll, and if you did, there you go. I hope you liked it. I will be doing every single one of those ideas that I posted on my post on my YouTube page. So just because it's not what you asked for, that does not mean that what you asked for is not going to be made, if that makes any sense. Just stay tuned because I have some very exciting things on the way for you all, and I really hope you all enjoy them. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to be kind to others, but most importantly, be kind to yourself. Stay fabulous. Bye-bye.
Happy birthday.